Hello students, welcome to the session. Today we are going to discuss about full wave rectifiers. In previous two parts we have seen half wave rectifier. In that we have also seen that in half wave rectifier the AC input gets converted into DC output with half efficiency. The efficiency of half wave rectifier was 40.1%. Here in this animation we can see that the input is AC, which is changing with respect to time, and it is fed to the diode. At output we get the waveform with gaps. So this was the functioning of half wave rectifier. Today we have to discuss about full wave rectifier. So full wave rectifier uses single phase AC. There are three phase rectification systems also, but in our syllabus we have only single phase AC. In that we use a transformer. Transformer is used to convert higher values of AC to the lower values of AC. We can use 2 or 4 diodes for making a full wave rectification. So according to that we have two types of full wave rectifiers. One is center tap transformer and another one is bridge rectifier. First one we will begin with the center tap design. In center tap design we have a transformer. At the input of transformer we have AC voltage source. Here one representative meter is shown where we can see green AC signals at the input, and secondary of this transformer is connected to two diodes. We are using two diodes here. Say the top one is diode 1 and the bottom one is diode 2. The top one can also be referred as D1 and the bottom diode can be referred as D2. These two diodes are shorted together. The bottom diode is directly connected with the top diode, and we are having a load. At load we check the output. Output waveforms should be like this. Here we can see we have continuous half waves here. Half part of this positive side is fully occupied. This is the difference between half wave and full wave rectifier. In half wave rectifier we get one cycle, then gap, then one positive, then again gap, so on. So we'll see it how exactly it works. In first positive cycle of the input, we'll consider the first half cycle when input is positive half cycle. So when it is positive half cycle we can see that the red wire, the top part of the center tap transformer becomes positive. The bottom part becomes negative. Similarly, secondary of this transformer, the top part becomes positive and the bottom part becomes negative. So the top one is positive. So it is connected to diode in such a way that this diode 1 becomes forward bias, because left side is connected to positive, that is P type, and right side is connected to negative, that is N side is connected to negative. So when P type of transformer is connected to positive and N type of transformer is connected to negative, it becomes forward bias, and when it is forward bias it conducts. That means whatever input is given, same will be transferred to the output by deducing the internal voltage and internal resistance values of the diode. That we will neglect at this stage. So the complete first half cycle will go to output. But what is the condition at second diode? The bottom diode will become reverse bias, because the bottom one negative is fed to P type and N type is connected to positive. So D2 will be off. Even though D2 is off, we will get connection for the output from D1 and we get the output. Then in next cycle what will happen? Here we can see with this arrow, this is the output waveform. In next cycle, for negative cycle, For negative cycle, what will happen? The polarity will change. The top one will become negative polarity, the bottom one will become positive polarity. Same will get transferred to the secondary. Now the top diode will become off, but the bottom diode will become forward bias. It will become on because its positive is connected to P type and negative is connected to N type. So this is the flow of current we can see across this diode, and at output waveform we will get second part of this output due to D2, that is the bottom diode. So like this continuously the input AC signal will be changing, and due to D1 and D2 we get the double output at the end of this particular rectifier. So this is the output for rectifier. Here we are using two diodes. What are the disadvantages of full wave rectifier? For full wave rectifier we have to use the center tap secondary winding. So if there is a high power involved, then the size and the expense of the transformer will increase. So these are few disadvantages of this full wave rectifier in center tap. Here we can see the same structure. We will try to understand with different approach. Left side we have the input. For input, first will be the positive cycle. When this is positive, what will happen? D2 will become positive, D1 will become positive and D2 will become negative. When D1 is positive, D1 gets forward bias, so it will be on, and D2 will become reverse bias, so it will be off. So we will get output, first output, this part due to D1 on. And what will be the condition of D2? It will be off. Then after completion of this first half cycle, there will be second half cycle. For second half cycle, we will get the opposite polarities. Now D2 is connected with positive and D1 is connected with negative. So in this case, D2 will become on. So second will get output due to D2, even though D1 is off. Again in third part we will get output due to D1. So this cycle will be keep on repeating. So this is the full wave rectification for center tap, where we are using two diodes. Similarly we can use four diodes. Before going to four diodes bridge rectifier and the filters, let us discuss the mathematical operations given in this particular. Now let us discuss the full wave rectifier mathematical expressions. So let us have circuit analysis. We have seen the theory of full wave rectifiers. We have two types of full wave rectifiers. One is center tap full wave rectifier and another one is bridge rectifier. So here we have the construction of our circuit. Here we can see we have two diodes, diode 1 and diode 2. These two diodes conduct alternatively. So what is there at input? At input we have AC signal, and this AC signal is given to the secondary of this transformer. This one is step down transformer. Same type of transformer we have used in the half wave rectifier. So in step down transformer you will take more AC signal and he will reduce the value of higher AC signal to lower AC signal. Now here you can see this total voltage is divided into these two parts. Why it is called as center tap? Because at the secondary of transformer, at the center we give a tap, we give a connection here, and that D1 and D2 both are shorted together. That means they are connected together. So D1 and D2 are short, and from the center tap we take the output. We measure output on these two terminals. So output we represent by load resistance. Say this is RL. So we have load resistance, we have D1 and D2. This total voltage will be divided into these two diodes. So diode 1 voltage will consider at say VS1, that is voltage supply in diode 1, and the bottom half part we will consider as say VS2. So we have two voltages here, VS1 and VS2. Similarly, current will have I1 and I2 values. So due to VS1 there will be flow of current I1 across the D1. So here we can add current I1 and there will be current I2 across the D2, right? So we will see how we are giving the input and what kind of output we are getting here, and for that expressions we have to see what are the various expressions in circuit analysis. So at input side, this voltage is getting divided for VS1 and VS2. So for this half part, if we consider first is the positive cycle and here we first will be the negative cycle. So VS1, the supply voltage at this half part, will have sinusoidal signal, say like this, right? And our x-axis is omega t. This vertical is voltage or current. So this is for diode 1. So we are calling it as VS1. These gaps are given as pi, 2 pi, 3 pi and so on. Now for VS1 this is starting at positive cycle. When this one is positive cycle, here we have the negative cycle. So what will happen for VS2, if we have to plot the graph for VS2, say this is VS2, it will start from the negative cycle. So it will go like this. So this is VS2. This is the maximum value of VS. So few books it is written as VM, or somewhere it will be written as Vmax, the maximum value, or it can also be written as VS2 max. So here also this level is Vmax. So this is V1, this is V2, right? So these are the input waveform. In theory we have seen that we get conduction due to D1 as well as D2. So what will be there in output waveform? In output waveform we can check waveforms for the load resistance. So for this first diode, when this is positive and this one is negative, this D1 will be on and this D2 will be off. So we'll get output because of D1 even though if D2 is off. So whatever is there at the input, this signal will go to the output. So here we can draw the output waveforms. Here this is for VS1. So this part is our diagram A is input waveform, right? Diagram B is our circuit diagram, and say this is C output waveforms. Like this only we have to answer in the examination with proper circuit diagram and waveform. So for VS1 we get output current. If we want to calculate output current here, the first cycle will get the signal like this. So this will be D1 on. Okay, now it is clear. So say this is now D1 on. Then what will happen? Polarities will change. It will become minus and this will become plus. So when this is becoming plus, D1 becomes on and D1 becomes off. So now we will get conduction due to T1. Say if you want to calculate I2 for graph. So for first cycle D1 was off. Sorry, D2 was off. This line is for D2. And now D1 will be off and D2 will be on. Then again cycle will rotate. So what you will get then? Then again D1 will be on, D2 will be off, and then D1 will be off, this one will be on. So here this will keep on repeating, right? So here D2 is on and so on. If we will check the total overall output at the load, it will be combined effect. So first waveform will get due to D1 on, then D2 on, then D1 on, then again D2 on. This will be the final output for voltage and current. So this one is due to D1, this one is due to D2, then this one is due to D1, and this one is due to D2. So this will be our final output. In half wave we used to get only half cycles with gaps. Now we have full cycles. Of course this one is also not straight line. So what we have to do, we have to see the DC average. We will see what is the average of DC present in this particular diagram. The same type of derivations we will follow as we have done for the half wave rectifier. So let us see the parameters one by one. First, if we see the peak inverse voltage, let us first check the parameters for peak inverse voltage. Say PIV, peak inverse voltage is PIV. PIV for full wave rectifier center tap. Now here we can see in the diagram what is maximum voltage at the output. There will be voltage due to Vs1 and there will be voltage due to Vs2. So here we will have one Vmax for D1 and there will be another Vmax due to Vs2. So we will get double voltage two times. That will be the maximum voltage available in reverse bias at the output. So PIV for center tap full wave rectifier will be equal to, so for, let us write it for say diode 1. For diode 1 it will be due to Vs1 max plus Vs2 max. If the voltage is same in the both parts, both the half parts, it will be 2 Vs max. Similarly for D2, PIV will be equal to 2 Vmax or Vs max. So this is for PIV. Now let us see the next parameter. Second parameter we will see is peak current. What is the maximum current or peak current? So next parameter is peak current. Now these are the sinusoidal signals. So if we have the voltage or current, this particular voltage mathematically it will be represented by sinusoidal signal. So Vs in general it will be given as say Vmax sine omega t. If we check for the current, it will be Imax sine omega t. So let us call it, say we'll give some name of expression, say expression 1. So we have Vs is equal to Vmax or Vs max sine omega t. So this is the voltage. Now current we can check for D1 as well as D2. In D1 current is I1 and in D2 current is I2. So what will be the I1? I1 for first positive cycle there will be rotation of current across this. So I1 for first cycle will be I max sine omega t. When D1 is on, D2 is off. If it is off, that means how much current is there I2 for the first cycle? It will be 0. So for the first half cycle, here we will write down for first half cycle I1, that is for diode 1. Diode 1 is on, so it will be equal to I max sine omega t, and I2 will be equal to 0, right? So what will be the general expression for current? I is equal to I max sine omega t. If we use the Ohm's law to find out relation between I and V, I is given by V by R. If it is I max, we have to take V max and here R. R may have two components. In example, it may be asked to consider resistor of diode also. Diode internal resistance is given by RF, that is forward resistance. So we have to take both the resistance RF plus RL if both the values are given. So it will be RF plus RL, right? So this will be the current expression. Now this is about peak current. Next parameter we have to see is the output current. How much output current we will get? So output current will be the integration value of this input signal. So let us check. The third parameter is, say, output current. So let us calculate output current. So output current will be given by, what is the output? Our output, what is desired output for rectifier? Input is AC. We give input to the rectifier. What is in rectifier? We have two diodes here. And what is the output? Output should be DC, right? So what will be the output current? DC current. So here we should find out how much profit we are getting. We want DC current at output, so how much DC current we are getting. So this is for the cycle from first D1 is on from 0 to pi. So this particular output current we will calculate over 0 to pi. So this IDC will be equal to 1 upon pi integration over 0 to pi and I1. What is I1? I1 is I max sine omega t d omega t. Like half wave rectifier, we can solve this integration. After solving this integration, we will get 2 I max divided by pi. This is our IDC. These expressions are important. We have to use them in the numericals. So this will be, that means it is the output DC current is 2 into maximum value of current divided by pi. We can put the value of pi and we can calculate 2 pi also. This is about the output current. Similarly, we can have output voltage. We can calculate output voltage. The next parameter is output voltage. So output voltage is, again we will use the Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law for voltage? V is equal to I into R. Output voltage, output current is DC current, so output voltage will also be DC voltage. So this V will be DC, VDC, output voltage DC. Output current is also DC. Output resistance is RL. Right. So in this we can keep this value of IDC. This value of IDC we will keep here. So what we will get? We will get VDC is equal to 2 Imax by pi into RL. This will be the DC output voltage. Now we will see the RMS values. Root means square values of output. Okay, now we have to calculate the next parameter. Sixth parameter is root mean square, that is RMS value. So RMS value is calculated as IRMS. We will denote it by IRMS. We will take the square root of the current expression, that is Im sin omega t. So either we can take LHS, so we have to calculate this IRMS. What is RMS value of current? So right side we can take square root, rather than we will make it square here, IRMS square. So right side we can write as 1 upon pi, limits from 0 to pi, Imax square sine square omega t d omega t. Now you have to solve this integration. After solving this integration, we will get I square Imax square divided by 2. So this one is IRMS square. So from here we can write IRMS is equal to I max, that is maximum value of current, to square by square root 2. This will be the expression for RMS value of output voltage. Now let us see the form factor and peak factors.